Hello, madam.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay. My questions are on my phone.
Okay.
So let's get this started. In your book, The Power to Persist, you outline habits that build lifelong resilience. Which of those habits do you believe students today, particularly at HBCUs, should lean into most as they prepare for their careers?
All right. Let's jump right into it. But before I do anything, let me say a couple of things. Number one, thank you very much for moderating this discussion. And thank all of you, especially the students who are here, for having me and taking time out of your schedules to listen to a little bit of what I have to say. I need to say something about our president, though. I want to tell you, people like Dr. Bobby Knight don't grow in bunches like grapes. She's a rare jewel. And I want you all of us, to understand who and what she is and what she means to us as trustees and to this institution. We are remarkably proud of how she has brought global, not just domestic, but global attention to this college. We're remarkably proud how she is advancing all of us to look, and you, advocating for you to be on the cutting edge of issues like AI and technology. She has cemented our relationships with the business community, not just in this region, but around the country. So give our president another big round of applause, Dr. Bobby Knight. So, your question a long time ago after I did all that was, what are some of the habits that I discuss in the book that are most relevant to you and your colleagues today, right? So there are 8 habits that I discuss. One of the brothers stopped me before we started and said, I'm reading your book, and I'm on chapter 6 right now, and it really is my favorite chapter, and that means a lot. Chapter 6 is about networking. I tell people that your network can equal your net worth. Okay. But networking on the surface could be perceived as very superficial. I meet this brother over here today and he exchanges a card, he takes my card, and that's, some people think that's networking, Dr. Knight. But it's really the ability to cultivate relationships. So for many of you that I'm going to meet here today, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm probably going to give you, depending on our conversation, especially if you're from Chicago, come on, Chicago, say something to me, especially if you're from Chicago, I'm going to probably give you my phone number, and I'm going to probably give you my email. And so at that point, if you reach out to me, I'm going to reach back. The first thing when I bump into my clients, what they ask about first?
What do they ask?
How's your mother doing? So therefore, we've taken the relationship beyond asking me, how your profit's doing, how your business doing, how you grow. No, when people are invested in the things you love and the things you care about, that's when you've advanced a superficial, exchange of a business card to being embedded and invested in each other's lives and how we really work to be successful together.
You've written about how persistence isn't just about surviving, but growing through adversity. Can you share a personal moment about what that lesson was tested for you and how it shaped your leadership?
Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, who I hope most of you have heard of and hopefully are learning and have read about, he turned 84 years old week before last. Yes. And I've had the phenomenal pleasure of being molded and shaped and to know him. But he has this saying that, if you were to come over here and knock me down on the floor, that would be on you. If you come back next week and I'm still on the floor, that's on me. There's no doubt all of us are going to face headwinds. All of us are going to get knocked down. The question is, how do we handle it? So in 2016, I talk about this in the book. I'm sitting in my office on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. My office is at 1455 Pennsylvania Avenue. The White House is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Okay.
Sitting there, and I get a phone call. The phone call says that my business partner no longer wants to be in business with me. And I've got about 24 hours to clear my office, my team, and we're done. Totally caught off guard, as you can imagine. As an entrepreneur, having started my business in 2002, I invested everything. Everything, all my eggs are in that basket. Never would I have imagined that I would receive a call so instantaneously where a rug is pulled under me and I'm out of business. So at that point, brothers and sisters, I've got a couple of decisions to make. Do I go in my office and cry and wallow, or do I figure out how to regroup and, rebrand and try to keep as much of my team together? We literally, just to make this as plain as possible, there's a young lady who I know Bobby has met, who's been working with me for over 2 decades. Her name is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, who was my assistant at the time. We managed to call upstairs. There's what they call shared offices, where various businesses can have an office in my building. And so we managed to secure office in the same building. Mm-hmm. That night, with the help of some cleaning people, I moved as much furniture as I could, the two of us, from one floor to the next. The name of my firm used to be, when Dr. Knight met me, Perennial Strategy Group. I had a sports agency too, Perennial Sports. Everything was perennial. Dr. Knight, you may not know this. The name of my firm today, she knows that part, is called Phase 2 Consulting. But the impetus for me starting Phase 2 was because of what happened that day with Perennial. So I said to myself, I've spent the first phase of my life. It's something about when you hit walls and you have to make a pivot. I've spent the first phase of my life trying to, quote unquote, be successful for whatever or however we define that. I'm going to spend the second phase of my life trying to work for significance. So that was born out of what may appear on the surface a tragedy, a bad thing. I lost my business in the way that it existed at that time. But what was born was a new opportunity, a new business with new ways to engage. And so, I don't know, that's the one thing that you talk about resilience and, how I came to this conclusion about the book and being persistent and making it through. That's the personal story that happened.
Many of our students are first-generation college attendees. What advice from your book would you give to someone who's the first in their family to take this journey and may be struggling to find their rooting?
We're only as good as the people that we have on our team. And everybody sees the glory. They see me sitting up here suit and tie, but they don't know the story. The story is represented by there are 2 ladies here with me who keep this train going and keep me going. Lorena Shaw's behind the camera and Rosemary Stalter. Will you give them a big round of applause? Because they actually have to put up with me on a daily basis. First generation. All that means and all that represents, not just to you, but your family and the people who sent you here and who are sacrificing, who have hopes and dreams for you. I am from 66 in Cottage Grove on the south side of Chicago. So some wise young lady here, where she asked me about O Block, I see you. And if I knew about King Von, I can't be from 66 in Cottage Grove and not know about O Block. Don't let the suit fool you. What I would say to those of you and those of us who emerge to these places coming from challenged environments is that we may come from certain places, but we don't have to be defined by those places. When I was a kid, you name it, it was in front of me. I had the option to join a gang. I could have been a drug dealer. Definitely could have lost my life well before where I sit today. When I was a kid, man, I'm about to age myself because I know you all don't really, some of the older folks may know this, but when I was a kid, they had these army men and cowboy men. They were like plastic, and they looked like they had guns and they were going to shoot each other. And instead of pretending like they were killing each other, I always chose, I'm like 5, 6, always chose one to be the president of the United States. And the rest were Secret Service agents protecting. We had books like this. And our apartment, by the way, where I grew up is no wider. And it's about the size of just this area. But we had books in our apartment. And I would put the army men and cowboy men literally on the books, and every piece of furniture, I had a row of them, and it was like a caravan. Like we were driving the president around. Everybody, my mom and everybody would have to step around all of this. Why am I sharing that story? Because no matter what was going on around me, I was creating a vision that I didn't even realize for what my life was going to look like later. How would I have known that from there, pretending like one of these folks were the president of the United States and the rest were Secret Service agents, I'm watching the news and keeping up with all this, that I would end up with an office in Washington, D.C., on Pennsylvania Avenue, having met this guy when I was a high school student who ultimately became a U.S. Senator down the street at the Capitol and ultimately became president across the street. What I'm suggesting to you is... It was Barack Hussein Obama, I'm sorry. What I'm suggesting to you is I'm not that smart. There's no business plan that I wrote. Some things are about ordered steps. Some things are about faith. Now, faith must match work. So there's a level of preparation that I had to be in while I had that vision and while it was set and while I met this brother when I was a high school student. He ended up being a senator, and then across the street, they must meet together. Your faith, the hopes of your parents and family members who are hoping for the best for you here and wishing and sacrificing the work that you're doing here, it must meet. That work has to meet some level of faith. In the book, the last habit I talk about, I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead of your questions. The last habit that I talk about is faith. Mm-hmm. Faith for some of us is defined as the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But for some people, that could be like some faraway concept out there. What I want to tell you today, and the reason why I made it a habit in the book, is because when you decide that you are the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, for those folks who sent you here, from the places where you're from, for the people that sacrificed for you, for the ancestors that you've never met, who never would have imagined that you'd be sitting here today with this type of opportunity. That's the faith that I'm talking about. When you embody and look in that mirror a little later today and say, I am the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That's how you build and continue on a resilient journey.
That means a lot. I'm a first generation college student.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of my friends are first generation college students, so to hear that is awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your career has spanned business, philanthropy, and public policy. How do you balance those worlds while staying true to your purpose and values?
I just had this conversation this morning with a friend who, we are going through tremendously challenging times. Mm-hmm. I was on the phone with a friend. She is a PhD researcher, has spent 30 years working in this area. Mm-hmm. And she feels that she is on the brink of her profession being eradicated. They just announced another 50 people being laid off at her place of work. What I was trying to say to her, and what I will say to you in answer to that question, is when you can marry your profession, your major, your work, with that which you've been called to do, you're always valuable. Dr. Knight will tell you, although she has worked in the energy space and we have friends downtown who work in the banking space, I was on the phone, I won't say the name of the major Fortune 500 telecom executive I was on the phone with yesterday, but let's just say most of you are probably on their plan, on their cellular plan. She too, Dr. Knight, was lamenting and concerned that in this political climate that we find ourselves in, that the work that I do with them and the work that she leads may become irrelevant. What I was trying to tell her and what I will tell you today is that I don't care how much people focus on profit, stock prices, whatever business they're trying to sell in our communities and other places. If you don't engage the community and the customer, it doesn't matter what your business is. And what I tried to tell both in these conversations with the researcher and the C-suite executive yesterday morning is that we'll always be relevant. Now, the people that you report to, the people in the boardroom, they may not realize it, they may not recognize it, but when you go tell the true story about how the sausage is made and how this big multi-billion-dollar merger that we're working on is really going to get done, it's not going to get done without the community. It's not going to get done without the people. I told my friend this morning, I had one phone call. There's a major California telecom merger. I can't say what it is, but one phone call to community operatives could turn that whole deal another way. We have more power than we realize. I call it sitting on a ham sandwich starving. A lot of times we look so far outside for validation, for security, for work, for business, when we're actually sitting right on top of it, because the brother or the sister sitting next to you right now may end up being the person that gives you a job, may end up being the person that you go in business with, may be the person that saves you from going out of business because they're a bank executive or they have access to resources. Don't discount this time and this journey that you're on. Man, if I could turn back the hands of time. You sitting next to the person that's going to make the change in your life. The person that's going to be there with you when things are high and low. These are the relationships. These are the opportunities to cultivate. And let me put you on real game. So when I was at I was at Morehouse, Dr. Knight, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm speaking to 1,500 young black men about resilience in the King Chapel. One young brother comes up. He says, you're here talking to us about resilience, and I'm trying to compete with this guy, and he's got all these accolades and I'm here just trying to hold on and compete with him. You know, how do you marry this message with resilience with me trying to keep up with my fellow student? I said, man, number one, iron sharpens iron. Number two, at Morehouse, we're taught that there's a crown above our head and we're trying to always grow tall enough to wear it. And what happens in environments like this and at Morehouse, et cetera, is you were the woman or you were the man in high school. And now you get to this place and there's 2,500 people who are the woman and the men too, just like you. So that either is going to make you or break you. I submit that you should be motivated and inspired by your colleague. But what I'm not suggesting is that you walk over your colleague in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. We have an obligation to pull each other along. But I ended my message to that young brother by saying, this place is not for everybody. As much as we want, it's not for everybody's not going to get it. The message I was trying to tell them is that, at Morehouse, some of us believe that a lot of cats come through Morehouse, but a few allow Morehouse to come through them. A lot of y'all are going to come through Miles. But the question is, will you allow Miles to go through you? So here's the next question. I said, who's your favorite professor? He told me who his favorite professor was. I said, have you ever asked to go to your professor's office and just spend time talking to your professor? No, I haven't. But you just told me that this is your favorite professor. And then you just asked me, how do I make this institution come through me? Well, that's one way. I asked another student, I said, when's the last time you went to the administration building? No, I've never gone to the administration building. Well, why not? You try to get financial aid, you need your dorm situation straight. Man, that stuff happens with relationships. If y'all never walked in the administration building and asked to meet with somebody who's leading this institution, shame on you. I'm putting you on game now. Go spend time. During my matriculation from Morehouse, there was a professor. I was a religion major, by the way. One of my professors also pastored a church in Atlanta, and he was just like the baddest dude that I met, and I wanted to work with him as much as possible. So, Dr. Aaron Parker, Zion Hill Baptist Church in Southwest Atlanta. Anybody know anybody in Atlanta? Yes. Southwest Atlanta. So when I graduated from Morehouse, I graduated from Zion Hill. The dean of the chapel, Dr. Lawrence Edward Carter, the dean of the King Chapel in Morehouse, who's been there for close to 50 years now. To this day, if I'm in Atlanta and I go by the college, I still go sit with the dean. He's about to retire. But he was critical. And Brother Watkins knows this name, a brother by the name of Henry Goodgame, who makes the institution run in his own way. He was, and still is, remarkably important to my journey.
That's nice to hear.
And you should be able, the message there is you should be able, by the time you get to graduation, you should be able to call out names of people that not only invested in you, but that you invested in the same way. That's what I mean about coming through an institution versus allowing an institution to go through you. That's the game I'm getting, where you may hit a roadblock and you need somebody to help push you. That's what I'm trying to suggest by telling my story. Relationships. You got it. Yes,
Always.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You've built a reputation for bridging the gap between corporations and communities.
Yes.
What does effective partnership look like to you, and how can institutions like Miles College strengthen those bridges?
The ability to be a good corporate partner means that you're not just trying to make money off of people in the community. You are legitimately trying to figure out, in the same time, while you're trying to build your business and make a profit, you're also trying to figure out how to make a positive impact in that community's life. That's what that looks like. So I don't care if it's an energy company, a banking institution, a telecom institution. If you do business in communities where you serve, then you have an obligation to serve that community. That's primarily the work I do, trying to bridge that gap So yeah, on occasion, is there some legislative or regulatory strategy that I have to work to implement? Absolutely, but the heart of my work is being that bridge between both the communities, and that's the individuals and quote unquote leaders and organizations that work on behalf of our community, being that bridge. I think, I said it earlier and I'll say it again, Dr. Knight, under her leadership, is doing a good job of ensuring that Miles College is connected to not just businesses today, but looking around the corner about where we're going. Latch on to what she's attempting to do with this remarkable partnership with NVIDIA and AI. And if you didn't know about it, lean in and find out about it, because that literally is the direction and that's what we mean when we talk about bridging this gap, making the connective tissue between those institutions that are working towards a profit and how it becomes real to us as students, as faculty here at Miles College.
You often speak about the intersection of leadership and service. How do you define servant leadership in your own life, and what does it look like in your practice today?
Dr. King says everybody could be a leader because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a PhD in order to serve. You don't have to have some big title in order to give back. One of my favorite, people don't realize Dr. King was a very funny guy. He was a very comical guy. And he would sometimes wrap a sermon with comedy. And so my favorite sermon of his is called The Drum Major Instinct. This ought to mean something to some of you here, especially if you're in the band or you like the band. His contention was that we all have this fundamental instinct, this desire to be in front, to be acknowledged, to be recognized. The drum major stands in front and leads. We all like to hear good things, get mail, stuff in the mail, says, oh, Lamell, you're this, Yes. Everybody likes to be affirmed. Everybody, has this fundamental, big or small, fundamental instinct to be acknowledged, to be in front. And his point was, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that instinct. It's good that you have, but he said, it's okay to be in front if you want to be in front for the right reason. So that's where the famous quote comes from. If you say that I'm a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. If you call me a drum major, say that I was a drum major for righteousness. Yes. I want to be in front for the right reasons and for the right things. That's what servant leadership looks like for me. Not just the desire to be in front, but to be in front for that which is good, that which is right, that which is just. That should be our aim.
As class president, that sticks with me.
Yes, because
I'm not up here just to look cute. I'm up here to do something.
I love it.
I like that.
And do what? What does that look like? I'm going to flip the script here. What does that look like?
It looks like, to me, bringing my classmates together. Like, I feel like COVID pushed us so apart to be afraid to do things. I want us to be able to lean on the next person's shoulder to do something for ourselves.
And madam, if you achieved that, then you would have given the greatest gift that you could give as a leader.
Thank you. So, you've accomplished so much across industries and impact areas. I read that somewhere too.
I see that.
What fulfills you the most at this stage of your journey?
I like to see something emerge from, what some people may think is nothing into something.
Yes.
I like to see growth. I believe that you leave things, people, institutions better than how you found them. Mm-hmm. I'm inspired by that, right? I'm inspired when I can get a corporation that sometimes didn't have an idea about how to engage in the community or didn't know how to create a pathway and a strategy for them to do that. That really gets me excited. This opportunity, I spend a lot of time with a lot of adults. I don't get a chance to few people come walking up to me talking about O-Block on the course of a day. So this is I've been looking forward to this, right? I didn't quite know if I was gonna have what it takes to do a master class, but that was a little intimidating. But other than that, I was looking forward to this moment because this is, so, those of us who have a little gray and who are a little older in the room, this is how we're going to be judged. We're only as good as the investment that we make in all of you. Mm-hmm. You can't pretend to be serious about true community revitalization and really doing good on behalf of the community, and then not have some focus on young people. I'm gonna say that one more time. You can't sincerely and authentically call yourself concerned about our future and about our communities and not have some focus on young people. So this is what gets me excited and keeps me going.
As you look to the next generation of change makers,
yes,
what do you hope your legacy and the message of the power to persist inspires us to do differently?
I love that question because underneath everything that I do, so I believe that the greatest sermon that I can preach is when I never open up my mouth. So the best thing that I can do is to be an example. I'm here having written a book, and the underlying message is, so can you. I was a religion major that started a sports agency. The underlying message is, so can you. I went to DC in 2002, no staff, no clients, put my office across the street from the White House. My friends looked at me like I was crazy. Didn't even have furniture in my office when we opened. But the underlying message is, whether I win or fail, so can you. That's ultimately what I want my legacy to be. That I was an example for folks like you and your colleagues, that if I pushed it this far, then you could take it from here and go even further. The fifth habit is vulnerability. So this is the perfect last habit to talk about, vulnerability. Let me tell you a little bit about why I made that a critical habit on the road to building a lifelong pathway towards being resilient. Okay. Because the perception is that when or if we are vulnerable, and we share our hurts, concerns, weaknesses, that means that we're weak. When in fact, and by the way, I embody that. Sometimes when you're in leadership, you think you have to have all the answers. You think that, everybody is looking up to you. But I've learned that when I can say that, I don't have it today.
Yes.
I'm not feeling good. It's actually not constraining, it's liberating. It frees me, and then it frees my team, my people to closer. And it allows and gives them the freedom to say, you know what, I'm not too good either. And so this particular habit is the one that I struggle with the most. Because, not just being who we are in this society, but especially being Black and being male sometimes, we got to stand tall in the face of so much as a people, as a group. I come from a place, and many of you do too, where being weak and vulnerable, that's not an option, where we have to be tough, allegedly. But I submit to you, and I especially want to talk to the brothers in the room, I submit to you that there are moments, there are opportunities when we should be able to share with one another that we need help. We need a push. I don't have it. Help me. And I submit to you that it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a strength, a secret sauce to help us on this road to become more resilient, to be leaders, to show up with our authentic self, not putting on a facade, not putting on a front, to be who God has made you to be and show up that way. That actually is the definition of resilience.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you for having me.
And I love listening to you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.